Do you know, if I sent out a tweet every time Ann Coulter wrote a clever column, I'd have to send out at least one a week, sometimes perhaps more often than that. She joins me now, the author of In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome, and Resistance is Futile, How the Trump-Hating Left Has Lost Its Collective Mind. Ann, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to talk to you, Lars. What a wonderful introduction.
Well, before I even got to your column, last night, one of my producers, Mackenzie, who's very bright, she said, you have to read Ann Coulter's column right now. I said, well, I'm doing the show right now. I'll try to do it during a break. I finally did it, and it was drop dead brilliant because of the way that you summed up the whole Brett Kavanaugh kerfuffle and suggested, as you did in your opening line, if I can produce somebody who saw John Roberts' penis in college, can we get Obamacare overturned? I thought it was a brilliant opening. We always work hard to write clever leads that get people to read the rest.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
It was fantastic. But this really is so ridiculous to say that Brett Kavanaugh is once again being slimed by the left for something they say happened, but the person it happened to can't remember it. Other witnesses inconveniently can't remember it, except, of course, for a couple of people, including a guy who heard it from a guy, as you say, and Max Stier, the Clinton lawyer, who may be politically conflicted, I'd have to say.
Yes. Well, now their big scoop was that they have a second incident. That's the Max Stier incident, and Max Stier is a big Clinton lawyer, and in particular defended him in the Paula Jones case, which you will recall was an incident involving the president when he was governor of the state of Arkansas, whipping it out in front of Paula Jones.
Yep.
So Stier is defending a president for having done that when he was a governor, but is raring to go against an allegation that he didn't see himself but heard about, where Brett Kavanaugh did the same thing as a drunk 18-year-old freshman, which never happened, but let's just point out who's even making the charge. That one is denied by the victim herself, and it's the other one, the Debbie Ramirez one, which is, I say, you get confused with all of these daft women the the left keeps putting forward to attack Kavanaugh. It's not the Kavanaugh accuser with the two front doors, and it's not the Kavanaugh accuser represented by Michael Avenatti, whose own father said that she had psychological problems. The totally crazy one. No, this is the one who couldn't remember for 30 years what happened to her, if Brett Kavanaugh did anything at all to her, until some liberals, lefty friends of hers, started calling her about the time of his nomination, trying to get her to remember, all of which comes from the recollection of one guy at the Princeton Theological Seminary, which, as I point out, all we know is that, therefore, he is less likely to believe in God than anyone not at the Princeton Theological Seminary. So this guy, Appold, I forget his first name, he didn't see it either. It didn't happen to him. That's Brett Kavanaugh at 18 years old, drunk, allegedly unzipping his pants and thrusting his penis into Debbie Ramirez's face. He didn't see it, but he heard it from a guy who also didn't see it, but heard it from a guy. And that's according to this guy at the Theological Seminary, Appold. He said, I tried to contact him, but I couldn't. So the authors of the piece went the extra mile. They found the guy he allegedly heard it from, and that guy said, I have no idea what you're talking about.
And this is what they're crafting an entire story. And I want to ask your take on this. Whether this is more about, one, just trying to slime Kavanaugh one more time. Two, seriously, an effort to remove him through impeachment, which the impeachment standards, I don't think, go back and say, if you did something, disgusting and embarrassing decades ago, that you should be held up for that. Or is it really more about sending a signal that the next pick for Donald Trump is going to be roasted as much as they possibly can, even if it takes lies to do it?
Well, that will certainly happen. Well, I think they're telling us what they're. Well, I don't know. How does the liberal mind work? Would this impeachment be after they impeach Donald Trump? Before they impeach him? Could they do a dual impeachment, like a double hanging? That is left unclear. But I do think people ought to notice that if they win the House and the Senate, 2/3 of the Senate, they intend to try to impeach Brett Kavanaugh. And they don't care what the reason is. They'll bring forward someone who heard something from somebody who heard something about what Brett Kavanaugh did as an 18-year-old drunk teenager, which there are no witnesses to and no victims, and say, oh my gosh, he's a sexual predator. He was nominated by Donald Trump. Let's impeach him. I wrote my first book, of course, was High Crimes and Misdemeanors, about the grounds for impeachment and the case for impeachment against Bill Clinton, of which there were plenty.
Yep.
And it used to annoy me. It still annoys me when I hear people say, oh, a high crime and misdemeanor is whatever a majority of the House and 2/3 of the Senate say it is. Well, no, that isn't true. It's a term of art. It goes back to our mother country, Great Britain. It's been used for centuries. There are plenty of examples of what it means. It's in a legal dictionary. At the time, what it means. There are things that are clearly high crimes and misdemeanors, and some that aren't. I never realized that all along, this is what liberals mean, their view of a high crime and misdemeanor is, if we have the votes, it's a high crime and misdemeanor. But that is what they mean. It's the same thing they mean about, privacy or abortion or gay marriage. If they have the votes, then we're going to get it.
Which isn't a whole lot. Actually, you know this, Ann, going all the way back to Nixon, and the famous line that if the president does it, it's not illegal. And that's been used over and over again to say, well, that was his attitude. Well, how much difference is there between if the president does it, it's illegal, or if the Democrats have the votes, we can make the law or the Constitution mean anything we want it to mean? I don't see a lot of difference, frankly.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Exactly right.
But this treatment of people is also, I think, probably designed because the president is likely, I think he's already set a first-term record for federal appointments to the bench, that is likely to try and scare people away, saying, do you really want to leave your $1 million a year job as a lawyer and take $200,000 a year to work as a federal judge? And a lot of them are going to look at all of this treatment and they're going to say, I'm not going anywhere near it, even though they might make great judges.
I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think they can impeach all of them. I think they're more likely to pack the courts, and we could always unpack them, I suppose, once it comes down to that. This is why immigration determines everything, because elections determine everything. They are just mad. They're out of control. And, we always think that the reason they want the Supreme Court so much is all this feminist hysteria. They want to keep abortion, and abortion, it's all about abortion. No, it's about everything, Lars. Look at how the courts have been frustrating Donald Trump simply when he finally gets off his butt and does something about immigration.
Absolutely right. Ann Coulter with us. Thank you, Ann.